it possible for you and I to be so kingdom-minded that we're of no earthly contemporary good to anyone else? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 4 of Torah portion Lecha. The news headline in that day would have read, "World War breaks out in the Middle East." Not the first time this has happened, certainly not going to be the last time. And it's often the case that those countries that surround Israel, one will be in conflict with the other, or else they will all gang up on Israel and war will break out. This seems to be a region filled with violence and bloodshed. In Avram's day, 5 kings were at war with 4. Those who were paying tribute decided that it was no longer going to be the case, and those who were receiving the tribute said, "You're not going to stop." So they met with their armies, and blood began to be shed. Very wisely, very decidedly, Avram is saying, "I'm staying out of the middle of this." He is, as we find out, as he's called in this chapter, an Ivri, a Hebrew. The word means one who was crossed over. Avram has left Iraq, in modern day terminology, Ur of the Chaldees. He has come out from among the Goyim. He is now a man of covenant. He is the father of those who will become Am Israel. As descendants, whether by lineage, bloodline, or by belief, you and I, as Hebrews, seek to stay out of the world and its events that surround us. We would like to think that we can remain detached, but we're still in this world. The admonition of Scripture is that you and I would be in the world, but not of the world. What does that mean? How far do we take that? It's not as though you and I can be living so detached a life that nothing around us affects us. The laws in the land of our exile, they shape our existence. The economy where we live, it shapes our existence. The culture, the language, the people, our history. All of these things say that we have to participate to some degree in the world that is around us. Matter of fact, it is our calling. While we're not of the world's system, when Israel was living in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, the idea was that they themselves become Mitzrites, that they would retain their history, their culture, their language, their world perspective, and the Torah that had been given down to them orally from their forefathers. That didn't happen. They began to see themselves more as Mitzrites than Hebrews. Yah rescued them before that indoctrination of the earth around them fully took place. May it happen likewise in our day, before we are so identified with the world around us that we cannot be rescued. May Yah bring Messiah in our day, and may He bring Him quickly. So Avram decided that he would stay out of the world events. We have to allow the presence of Yah to be diffused through us to influence our environment. Avram had tried to do that with his nephew Lot. He had tried to diffuse the reality of Yah that he himself had received into the life of Lot, but Lot had chosen the lush green valleys and plains that were before Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of the plain. He thought that he made the best, wisest, and most productive fruit-bearing choice that he could make. He chose the best for himself and left everything else to his uncle Avram. But he soon found himself not living in a tent in front of the cities, but moving out of the tent and living in the city. And now that the city of Sodom had been taken captive, Lot is taken captive. Avram could have said, you know what, he made his bed, just let him lay in it. Such is the attitude of someone who is so detached from everything else in the world, and they're only seeking the kingdom, that they can't really help anyone else. I'm all about the kingdom. I want the kingdom to come in the worst way. I'm urgent. Father, send Messiah Yeshua. Send him in our day. Correct this mess. Deliver us. Oh, Yah, do not allow my children and grandchildren to continue to live on in this corrupt, defiled, decadent, debauched culture. And yet time delays. While time delays, I have to participate to some degree, to whatever righteous degree that I can in this present world. I don't want to be of its systems. I don't want to be of its mindsets. I don't want to participate in its indulgences. But I still am called at this moment, as are you, to exert righteous influence wherever it can be accepted. Now, it may seem that we're banging our head on the wall and that we're trying to plant seed in concrete, but we got to try. Avram, I know, must have groaned out loud when he received the news Lot and his family had been taken. How many times do I have to rescue him? How many times do I have to tell him you're making the wrong choices? How many times do I have to mop up after this man? He should know better by now. Sound familiar? So Avram takes those men that are equipped, armed, and prepared for war out of his camp, and he goes to rescue Lot. Notice that he's not going to conquer kings. He's not looking for nation-building opportunities here. He's only wanting to rescue that which is in any way righteous. Being frustrated with other people's actions that lead to their own calamity and destruction, the temptation is just let them suffer, but you can't do that. I can't do that. Avram chose out of compassion to rescue Lot. Compassion is the quality that is oftentimes found lacking in the midst of us. We glory in our knowledge. We glory in our understanding of Scripture. We glory in the coming of the kingdom. We glory in our hope and our ambition to see things filled with righteousness and justice. In all honesty, we want to be proven right. But what about those that have looked at us in the past and said, I don't accept your doctrine. I think you're a nut. All of this going back under the law and into bondage stuff, I just don't see any wisdom in it, and I don't think the Father's in it. And then we see their lives begin to suffer, and they're hurting. We want to gloat, but that's not righteous. What is righteous is compassion. Righteousness says, go to them, help them, love them, because such were you before someone else offered the same wisdom and understanding to you. There were times that I turned my nose up at the idea of changing which day is Shabbat, or about anyone telling me what I could and couldn't eat, or why I shouldn't celebrate certain holidays, or why his name was not what I always called him before. But Yah tenderized my heart. As I saw his face, he revealed himself to me, and he didn't do it in an arrogant, condescending manner or use anyone else who was. He offered me compassion. Avram rescues his nephew with compassion. It cost him. It wasn't free. It wasn't easy. And Lot didn't appreciate it once the rescue was given. He went right back into his bad situation. And as we will find out in continual reading, he ended up suffering even more because of his decision. But Avram did what was right. He exercised the heart and the compassion of the kingdom even before it arrived. More tomorrow. Until then, shalom.